Hi guys, today I'm going to be showing you how to download and set up Redhat Enterprise Linux 8 on Virtualbox 6.1 for free. So basically, if you're just starting out in IT and you've heard about Redhat and you'd like to try it out to see what the operating system is like, its features and functionality, what it looks like, the look and feel and all, basically I'm actually going to show you how to set it up on as a VM on Virtualbox 6.1 for free. So if you follow along this tutorial, you actually don't have to buy don't have to buy Redhat, but you can actually complete this entire setup for free. So please remember to like this video, to share and to subscribe to this YouTube channel. It will actually help us to grow the channel, and so we can actually help even more IT professionals out there to learn how to set up things like this. Okay, so as I said earlier, Redhat is not a free operating system. You can either get a 30-day free trial for the OS, or you actually need to buy it. So but in this case, I'm actually going to show you how to set it up for free. So the free version of Redhat is actually available for developers for free. So you can actually download the OS on the Redhat developers website. So all you simply need to do is to open a new browser tab and go to developers.redhat.com/RHEL8. So it will open a page that looks like this, and then all you simply need to do is to click on download RHEL. So it will then redirect you to the Redhat downloads page, where you can actually get a copy of the free developer version of Redhat Enterprise Linux 8. Okay, so there's many download options and different versions of Redhat that you can actually choose. But in this case, we're actually going to install Redhat 8.5. So choose the DVD ISO image file, the x86 64-bit one, the first option that you see here. So as you can see, the download is about 10.22 gigs in size. So you need to make sure that you've got a data plan that will allow you to actually download this a file of this size. So just click on download, and it should redirect you to the file download page. And you also need to make sure that you actually need to sign up for a free Redhat account. But in this case, I had already signed into my account, but you need to sign up for a free Redhat account for you to be able to get the download. Okay, so I'm actually going to click download here. Okay, so the download has started. Let me see here. As you can see, so it's actually now downloading Redhat. So in the next step, I'm then going to show you how to set up the Virtualbox virtual machine, and also how to attach the Redhat Enterprise Linux 8 disk image file to that virtual machine. Okay, so to create the virtual machine, click on new, and this will open the virtual machine creation wizard. So in Virtualbox, when you're actually creating a VM, you can either use the guided mode, which is what you see on my screen here, or the expert mode, which is this mode. So the expert mode is actually a quicker way of creating a VM. But for learning purposes, and just in case if you're watching this tutorial for the first time, and if you're learning how to create a VM for the first time, we're actually going to use the guided mode. So I'm going to switch back to guided mode, and then on the virtual machine name, I'm going to name it Redhat 8 VM. So that's the name that we're going to give it. And then on the machine folder, I recommend that you leave it as it is. And then on the type, select Linux, and on the version, select Redhat 64-bit, then click on continue. Then on the memory and size section, enter 2048 MB as the amount of memory to allocate to the virtual machine. If the computer that you're using, if it's got more memory that you can give to the VM, you can even input a higher value here. But I think 2048 or 2 gigs of RAM is the minimum that you can use for Red Hat. So once you've allocated the amount of memory you'd want to give to the VM, click on continue. Okay, then on the hard disk section, click on the create a new virtual hard disk now option, then click on create. And then the next thing is to select the file type for the virtual hard disk. So if you intend to use this VM only in Virtualbox, just leave the default VDI option. But if you're thinking of then later exporting this Redhat virtual machine to other platforms, you can then either choose VHD or VMDK. So in this case, I'm just going to leave it on the default VDI option and then click on continue. So in this step now, you now need to choose whether the virtual hard disk is going to be dynamically allocated or if it's going to be a fixed size. So a fixed size virtual hard disk actually consumes the amount of space that you specify immediately. So if you set it to 50 gigs, it's going to reserve 50 gigs from your physical hard disk for the virtual machine. But if you set it to dynamically allocated, it will use up space on your physical hard disk as the virtual hard disk grows. So it will actually save up storage space on your computer if you choose the dynamically allocated option. So that's the option that I recommend that you select, and then click on continue. So the last step in configuring the virtual hard disk is to configure the size of the virtual hard disk itself. So I'm going to punch in 50 gigs here, or you can add a higher value here or a lower value, but I recommend 50 gig as the minimum to specify here, and then click on create. Okay, so the virtual machine has now been created, and the next thing to do is to attach the Redhat 8 disk image file to the VM. So right click on the VM and click on settings. So this will open the settings page for the virtual machine. Click on storage, then click on the add optical disk option. Click on add and then browse to the folder or the location where the Redhat disk image file is located. On my computer, I've got sort of like a software library that I've got here where I keep all my disk image files. So I'm just going to search for Redhat, which is this one, and then click on open. Okay, so I'm going to choose that disk image file, and then let me just check. I'm actually going to increase my video memory here for better performance. I'm going to just set it to the max, and then I'm actually going to make some changes to the processor. I'm going to set it to 2 CPUs. So these changes will just make the virtual machine a bit faster. Then click on OK. So once you've made these changes, the next thing to do is to start the virtual machine and kickstart the Redhat 8 installation process. Okay, so right click on the virtual machine, then click on start, normal start. So this will actually start the VM, and it will actually boot up using the Redhat disk image file that we attached to the VM in the previous step. So it's actually now booting up now. Okay. So the option that we want to select here is install Redhat Enterprise Linux 8. So that's the option that we're going to select, and then it should then open the Redhat installation wizard, which takes a minute because it actually needs to decompress the files from the disk image file, which is what it's actually doing now. But basically, if you see yourself reaching this stage, then I'd say you're right about halfway through the installation and setup process. So we're just waiting for the virtual machine to complete its boot up process. It's actually starting the installer now. The great thing about nowadays with most of these operating systems is now pretty much a straightforward process, because the makers of these operating systems want you to face as little challenges as possible, so they really try to make it as simple as possible to set up these systems actually. Okay, so the installer is opening up now. Let me just minimize the Virtualbox window. Okay. Alright, so this is the welcome page for the Red Hat Enterprise Linux 8 installer. So choose English and English United States, then click on continue. Okay. Okay, so we're now proceeding to the next step. Okay. So we need to select an installation destination, which is the virtual hard disk that we created in the previous step. So just click on the virtual hard disk and then click on done. Okay, if you still see the no disk selected error message, just click on that option again, select the virtual hard disk, then click on done. Okay, so it's now saving our storage configuration, and then on the network and host option, let me just increase the size of the window here. Okay, set the Ethernet interface to on, and then on host name we need to configure a host name. So I'm actually going to call it my first Red Hat VM the everything channel. You can put in whatever you'd like to put in as your host name, then click on apply. Okay, so we've configured the network interface as well as the host name, then click on done. Okay, and then on the security policy section, usually I don't make any changes here. You can just leave it as it is, and then click on the begin installation button. So when you actually start the installation, you can actually set a root password and create a user account. So click on root password, and then type in a password that you'd like to use whenever you're signing into the root user account for the Red Hat VM, which is what I'm actually doing now. Then once you're done inputting the password, click on done. And then on the user creation, I'm going to create a user here. I'm just going to call it, actually I'm going to call the username administrator here, and then click on the make this user administrator, and then on the password I'm then going to type in a password that I'm going to use for this user. Okay, so I'm just going to repeat the password once more, and then once you're done on this configuration page, click on done. So we've set a root user password, and we've also created an administrator user account. So we're just going to wait for the installation to complete, and then the next step I'm then going to show you the Red Hat Enterprise Linux 8 post installation setup process, and a few things that you need to do when you finish installing Red Hat. Okay, so once the installation is complete, you should restart the virtual machine, and when the restart completes, you should see an initial setup window that looks like what I've got here. So click on license information and click on the I accept the license agreement checkbox and click on done. Then click on subscription manager and then click on next. So you're going to have to sign in to your Redhat account. So what it's actually doing is it's actually trying to establish a connection to the Redhat server. And then it's going to present a login page where you need to put in your Redhat username and password. So let me actually just try to type in my password now. I think actually that's my login that I'm typing now, and my password, that's the password that I'm actually typing now. And then I'm actually going to try to log in using that. I actually hope I'm actually using the correct details here. Let me try now. Okay, so it looks like I put in the wrong credentials. Okay, let me try again. I'm actually going to try to, I think, change the login username, or maybe the password. Let me try the password actually, because I'm pretty sure the username is correct. Okay, and then let me try to register one more time. Okay, so this should be the correct password. Okay, so it seems like it's working now. So once it's done, it should actually give you an option to select the Redhat subscription that you like to use for downloading and installing updates. Okay, so once you've logged in, click on the attach button to attach the Redhat subscription and click on done. So you actually start attaching subscriptions, which will actually allow you to do a lot of things like downloading software, updates, and a whole lot of other important system level tasks that you may need to do in Redhat. And then once you're done, click on the finish configuration button. Okay, so the final task is actually to install Virtualbox Guest Edition software. So I've restarted the Redhat virtual machine. I'm going to log into the administrator user account using the password that I configured during installation. So actually this is actually the first time that we are logging into the Redhat virtual machine. So the first task that we want to complete is to install the Virtualbox Guest Edition software. So this actually allows you to display this virtual machine in full screen mode, and it also enables things such as USB 3.0 drivers, so you can actually plug in USB 3.0 devices to this virtual machine, and other low-level BIOS level system features. Okay, so on the welcome screen, select English and click on next. I'm probably just going to be clicking on next on the prompts that I'm seeing here. Click on skip here and then click on start using Redhat Enterprise Linux 8. So to install the Guest Editions software, actually from the Virtualbox menu bar, click on machine, actually click on devices and click on insert Guest Edition CD image. So once you've inserted it, click on activities, then click on files. Actually it's actually detected on its own that I've inserted the CD, so you just have to click on run here, and then it should automate. Actually I first have to type in my root, actually my administrator user password, and then it's actually starting the installation process. So usually this process takes about a minute or so to install, but I highly recommend that whenever you create a virtual machine, especially in VirtualBox, the first task that you do is to install the VirtualBox Guest Editions software. So I'm just waiting for the installation to complete, and once it's done, I'm then going to restart this virtual machine. Okay, so I'm just waiting for the installation to complete. Actually, whilst it's installing, we can actually configure the shared folder. So go to Window. Actually, let me see here. Is it Window or is it View? Let me see here. Okay. Go to the virtual machine library. Actually, sorry about that. Right click on the running Redhat virtual machine, Redhat 8 virtual machine, click on settings. So once you click on settings, click on shared folders and then click on add. So the folder path, you need to select the folder that you'd like to access from within the virtual machine. So this folder is on the host computer. So in my case, I've got this folder called my stuff that I'd like to access from the Redhat virtual machine. So I select the my stuff folder and click on open, and then click on auto mount and click on make permanent, then click on OK. So it's actually going to then mount this folder. So actually this folder is going to appear as a network location from the Redhat virtual machine. So click on OK to complete the configuration. Okay, so it looks like the installation for the VirtualBox Guest Edition software is complete. So I'm just going to close out of there, and then we're going to restart the Redhat virtual machine. Okay, so this marks the end of this tutorial, and I'd like to thank you very much for watching. Please like this video and also subscribe to the channel for more helpful content.